So welcome again to another Slow Down Sunday. And at any point, if you can't hear me again, please give me a nudge and just stand in the studio. You can also just send me a private chat, and I'll see. Okay. So my name is Kenyatta A, and I sometimes call myself an unconventional Jamaican, and I intend to gather other Jamaicans who are revolutionary, um, with courage, who wants to show up and be the change. I'm laughing because I saw this image recently of those who want change and have a very long line, and those who want to be the change. There was no one. And I wonder if that's what happened on on here. Okay. So why revolutionary? Well, because if you're interested in showing up in the world in another way, instead of waiting for someone to give you what you want, whether it be the president to be this or to be that, or whether it be your family member to be this or to be that. Revolutionaries show up, and we show up in a different way, and in a way that meets our own needs, and hopefully that trickles out. So what do? I enjoy the little things, such as nature and daily life. I do enjoy that. And healing intergenerational trauma, and sharing that healing too in different spaces. So generally, my life is my message, and it's so happy that the universe is supporting me on my journey in doing so. So I'm grateful for that. So we're here again on this Slow Down Sunday to share liberatory information for our community's well-being. Okay, someone asked to drop a link to show up in Halloween prom dress. Okay, hang on, Jack. Maybe later when we talk about sharing talent, maybe then I'll take you on, Jack. So so this is about sharing liberatory information for our community's well-being, and this is the second part of Stressless. And the last one was long, and I intend to make this one shorter. And so the last one, I've extracted the different sections, the 3 sections. The first one being stress and the resilient zone. I'll put a link to that here. And also, I've taken out the section called stress and the nervous system. I'll also put a link to it somewhere up here. And toxic stress as well. I'll put a link to it here. And in the description of these videos are the link to the different sections. So if you want to go back to review, it's easy to just go right to the area that you want to revisit. So if you're watching this replay, please, I do recommend that you go back and review Stressless Part 1, because it will help you understand the language we're using here. And this one builds on top of Stressless 1. So before we continue, I'd like to ask of you to show some love by liking and sharing this with your friends who may be interested. So you like the video just so it feeds the YouTube algorithm to help the YouTube prioritize this video to send out to more people. So this is just how YouTube works, and I'm learning, and I'm asking if you'd like to support the growth of this channel, to please do be generous and hit that like button, and also share and comment. So I want to thank all the new subscribers. Welcome. I hope you feel at home here, and I hope you find something here that is beneficial for you. And welcome back to all the old subscribers who've been with me on this ride for a shorter time or even longer time. Welcome back, and thank you so much for your support and your generous heart, and reaching out sometimes to share your knowledge. So big up and respect to all of you. And I'm here because you are there. If I'm here by myself and there's no one there to watch, then that wouldn't work, right? So I just want to bring up the African term Ubuntu, which pretty much says a person is a person through other persons. So I am because you are. Or my Zen master Thich Nhat used to say that quite a bit. So the agenda for today, we're going to have, we're just going through the welcome and intro, and then we'll go into the community agreement briefly, and look at the quote from some quotes from Thich Nhat, and have a landing moment. And then we'll have a chance to go into the community resiliency model, practice first skill, tracking, and Stan is here to help me out with that. So thank you so much, Stan. I really appreciate that. You can't see him, but he's in the studio with me and he's waving. Okay. And we'll talk about the three brain and the root of stress. That one, for me, was a light bulb moment when I learned about it. It helped me to understand myself so much better. And we'll practice the second skill, resourcing, and Stan also will help me with that. And we'll have a closing and share some resources to continue your research if needed, and then share about our next live stream and end with a quote of Thich Nhat. All right, so let's get going. I thought it's important that you know a bit about my background experience on the subject matter. So I'll be drawing from my life experiences and training. I don't have all the answers, but the real answers really lie inside of you. And I hope you're able to tap into that because it's unique to you. Here are some community agreements, same as the last time. We are adhering to YouTube community agreements, as well as trying on new ideas, new information, and to get curious, really. This is a public space, so we want to be aware of that. So we share whatever is comfortable for us, and no blaming, shaming, and so forth. So this is just all under the category of respect, and of course, mistakes and imperfections are welcome because I make mistakes. You see it. All right. I just realized I need to share the screen. Actually, I changed. I like to share that I'm looking for talent. So if you can sing, dance, poem, and so forth, you can let me know and I can bring you on to share your talent. And so this is a quote from the late Thich Nhat Hanh. He was my Zen master. Because you are alive, everything is possible. So he wrote this in his book, Live in Buddha, Live in Christ. I have another quote from him I like to share. This one is on true happiness. So many people think excitement is happiness, but when we are excited, you're not peaceful. True happiness is based on peace. So this quote comes from his book, The Art of Power. So now I'm going to invite you into a landing moment. I'll just take a sip. So these are difficult times all over the planet, all over the world. We're experiencing this collectively. There isn't a corner of the world that is untouched. And I find sometimes by taking mini pauses during the day, that may help reduce stress and cultivate resiliency within. So pauses can help bring back balance into the body. And each pause is like a deposit in a bank account of peace, of stresslessness. So each time you practice, it just builds on the previous practice. So I'd like to invite you into a very short landing moment. So when you're ready, I'm inviting you to notice how your body is being supported. You may notice whether it's been supported by a chair, a bed, the floor. You may notice points of contact with the surface, whether you're sitting, lying, or standing. Maybe you're noticing your feet. Maybe you're noticing your thighs, your bum, your back, shoulder, your head being supported. I'll put on a piece of music. Can you give yourself a bit more to that support? As you rest in the support beneath you, I invite you to hold the questions. What are things making you feel good? What or who makes you feel good when you're down? So, as you call to mind that, just notice what's happening in your body. And when you're ready, I'm inviting you to come back to the room. You just do this short pause just to land in your body, land in your experience. So if your eyes were closed, you may open them and slowly look around your space, taking your space again. We're orienting to our space, taking note of any pleasant thing that catches your eyes. And notice how you're feeling now comparing to when you first arrived. And how was that landing moment for you? You may inwardly just acknowledge that. Or if you're inspired, you may share in the chat or in the comments if you're watching a replay. So the practices and skills that we do in the community resiliency model are simple and they're also deep. So don't underestimate them. What we're doing here is quite deep, simple and deep. So I'll bring back the shared screen. Oops. Okay, so we'll move on. So the concepts that I've been sharing in Stressless Part 1, and also this Part 2, they come from the Community Resiliency Model, and it was created by Elaine Miller Carras and developed by the Trauma Resource Institute. And the information is copyrighted, and reuse of it has many restrictions. So just wanted to share that this information is coming from somewhere. They didn't just fall from the sky. Last time we covered the resilient zone, branches of the nervous system, and did the strategy, the skill reset now and practice 4 strategies. So now we're going to get right into the heart of this session today, which is first by practicing the skill number 1, which is called tracking. I'll just share about tracking, and then after I'll invite Stan to practice tracking with me. So tracking is the first skill of the community resiliency model. It is the foundation for helping stabilize the nervous system. All the other skills, including tracking, all the other skills includes tracking, and tracking simply is noticing and paying attention to sensations. It's to pay attention to what is happening inside the body in the present moment. That's the key, in the present moment. So there are doorways of expanding well-being. And these are simplified doorways to understand our experience, and thus having the capacity to expand our well-being. So conventionally, when something happens outside of us, we may experience it through the first door of thinking. Sometimes you may get preoccupied thinking about what happened, and maybe trying to find some meaning or making sense of what happened. We may even express our feelings about what happened. That is the second doorway, feeling. Especially if we can count on someone we trust or a counselor, we may express our feelings about that thing that happened. The third doorway is of sensing. So sensing into what happened. And this is our birthright that many of us has forgotten. So the community resiliency model focuses on the doorway of sensing. So it's also possible to expand these doorways to include other intelligences of the body, imagination, for example. But for now, we're just going to keep it simple and say that human beings think, feel, and sense. So we have learned that our life experiences, including our thoughts and feelings, all have a corresponding sensations within the body. Which brings us to our next slide. So this is an image here that's a result of a research coming out of Finland in the Human Emotional System Laboratory that uses a laboratory that maps the brain of the brain basis of emotions used in state-of-the-art nuclear medicine imaging to map pretty much the what we're sensing in the brain to how it lands on the body. So the goal of this group is to unravel the neurochemical and functional mechanism that supports human emotions. So earlier we spoke of the doorway of sensing. So sensations refers to a physical experience in the body. So every thought and emotion has a corresponding body sensations. So sensation are another doorway into understanding our experience. And as you can see here in the image, that there's different colors to represent different sensations on the body and their corresponding emotion. Like, for example, the first one is of anger, and you can see it depicted as red in the upper area of the body. And a complete contrast, is depression, which represent as blue, showing up as blue in the body, and a little bit on the head and along the arms and legs, and the organ area, it doesn't have any, doesn't light up. So sometimes though, especially because of our conditioning, we're not in tune with these sensations. We're not in tune with what's going on in our body. And, we may be angry and say that, no, we're not angry. So thinking that, nope, I'm not angry, and saying, I'm not angry. But however, the body can tell another story, as you see in the picture here. So paying attention to sensation can give a person greater awareness of emotions and thoughts. Um, so I remember my mentor sharing with me early on that, trust your body. So personally, because of my cultural conditioning, I have to rely on sensations to really know what's going on with me, because the body never lies. So now we'll get into some practical elements, which we'll look at practicing the tracking exercise. So I'd like to invite Stan to do this exercise with me. Stan, are you ready? Okay, so I'll just see about bringing up Stan. There you go. Hi, Stan. Welcome.
Hi, good night.
Good. Wonderful. So, Stan, before we have echo. Do you hear echo?
No, I'm not hearing an echo.
Okay, why am I hearing the echo? Okay, the echo is gone.
Okay.
So, Dan, welcome to the live stream. I just want to start by saying thank you so much for agreeing to come on to share your presence and also practice with me the two skills.
All right. Okay.
So, before we start, though, just so people can locate you, place you, you want to introduce yourself a little?
All right. Good night. I am actually Devon Lopez. I'm actually in Clarendon at the moment, where I live with my family and kids. I don't tell people that I live in Four Pass because we have a MIP in Four Pass and a Chapelton Four Pass. So I usually just tell them Turners. So, and actually, you'll hear me being referred to as Stan because that's what I'm affectionately known as.
Yes, in Jamaica, um, it's one may have many names.
So,
So I've learned to embrace my many names too.
oh, really?
All right. So Stan has again agreed to practice with me. So I want to just invite him now. So Stan, I'm inviting you to just hold both your hands, palms facing each other,
Mhm.
and to pretty much just start rubbing. Start rubbing your hands, and gradually rub a little bit more faster. So increase the speed a little bit more. And as you're rubbing, let's get curious. What sensations are you noticing as you increase the speed?
Well, for one, there's a lot of heat based on the fiction I'm getting, I presume.
Yes.
Um, eh, I'm actually, I don't know, because of the rubbing, I'm actually feeling the skin getting a little tingly as well because I don't know if it's the rough surface of my hands or whatever or not, but right, it's definitely getting warmer the faster I go.
Mm.
Um,
Okay. And
and
what
then,
are you noticing anything on the inside your body as you do that?
well, I actually am hearing because of the sound of while rubbing it, I'm actually focus on the sound and then I'm listening to my heart rate as well.
Okay. Is your heart rate increasing or decreasing
Yes,
or
it has gone up a little bit. Not too
okay?
much, but just a little bit.
Is it pleasant, unpleasant, neutral?
No, not really. The only thing with the rubbing is that I don't know if it's the angle that I'm lying at, but then in the elbow is a little fatigue.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Stan. You can stop rubbing now.
Okay.
And so perfect timing to rest your elbow.
Yeah.
But what are you noticing now that you've stopped? Just tune into the body to see what is there right now.
I'm feeling a little trembling. I don't know. You know, I I guess because this sound of the hand, and the area that I am, it's gotten quite quiet, and then my hearing is more in tune to what's around me now.
Mm-hmm. And how about the temperature of your hands?
Well, it's still a little throbbing, but it's cooling down.
Okay.
Hmm.
Are you noticing anything else?
Well, just I feel the fingers are a little tingly.
Okay.
Mhm.
Wonderful. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I was curious, um, how was that experience for you? Was there anything surprising in it?
Well, I actually expected the heat, but I didn't actually expect it for while it was going on with the sound to get in tune with my heart, listening to the heartbeat while the sound was going on with the hands. That was a little bit surprising.
Okay. All right. Thank you. And was it easy for you to identify sensations?
Yeah, pretty much. It
Okay.
was pretty much straightforward based on, well, as I said, the first notable one was the heat, and then the tingling came afterwards, and then while you continue going fast and fast and listening to the sounds, and then you get in tune with the heart. So yeah, pretty much.
Okay. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Stan, for coming on and sharing this practice with me. And I'll call you again in a little bit when we get to resourcing. So thank you. So as you witness the steps of tracking, the first step is noticing, paying attention to what is happening inside the body. So we use the exercise of rubbing the hand just to generate some sensations, some activities in the body. And then the first step is noticing. The second step is determining whether or not the sensations are pleasant or unpleasant. And the third step is sometimes we'll get to practice more of when we go into resourcing, which is to stay in with sensations that are pleasant or neutral. So over time, practicing the skills, one can start to develop a sensory language. As you hear, Stan shared about tingling sensations or heat. So those are two sensory language. So we'll touch on that in a little bit. Okay, we'll move forward. So we'll talk now about the three brain. Um, I'll just bring up the slide. Okay, yes. So I'll talk now about the three part of the human brain. And we'll move into some key concepts that are has its basis in science. So this is not something that I just made up, it's studied. And yeah, so let's deepen our understanding of the brain and how it functions with stress. I find the brain science to be quite amazing, and I hope we can take something from it too. Okay, so it has been said that the brain is a highly complex system. So I'll try to simplify it using the Dan Siegel Hand model. So in the Dan Siegel Hand model, if you want to follow along, you can also do that. But so I'll use my hand to describe it. So you may follow me or not. So starting at the base, going up where the spinal cord enters the brain, we have the brain stem or the survival brain. Unconscious functions like fight, flight, freeze responses, digestion, or breathing are carried out here at the survival brain, the brain stem. So it does, this area is unconscious and automatic. So we don't need to control our digestion and our breathing. The body just do it for us. And there's more information about that in part 1, stress in the nervous system. So it's important to point out here that this part of the brain responds to sensations and not words. This is why working with sensations is so important in this model. So we're moving up to the center of the brain. We fold our thumb over, and we have the limbic system, or the emotional brain. And this area supports important functions, such as the expression and mediation of emotions. It supports memory and also the assessment of risk. And in here, we also have what's called the amygdala, sometimes called MEG, but amygdala is housed here, and it assesses risk. It is called the fire alarm of the brain. I will come back to the amygdala just in a moment. So moving up to this area, folding over, is the cortex, or the thinking brain. It's essentially everything you see right now. So this area of the brain integrates input from all 3 brains. So it's responsible for cognition, for our belief system. It's responsible for language, etc. So there you have it, the 3 brain. Going back to the amygdala, so in the center of the brain, the second part of the brain is the amygdala. And the amygdala is again called the fire alarm of the brain. So when it's active, meaning that there is a threat, it sounds the alarm and pushes against the cortex. So like this, pushing against the cortex. So for example, someone cuts us off on the highway. It sends a signal to the survival brain to put the body on high alert. So if necessary, it will push you into survival mode. If the alarm is sound loud enough, it'll push you into survival mode. And when that happens, we flip our lid. So when the lid is flipped, you can see the thinking brain, the cortex, is now offline. And at this point, with the lid flipped, do you think that I would be in my resilient zone? No, I'll be bumped out. So when the lid is flipped like this, the thinking brain again is offline, and we are no longer able to make sound decisions. In fact, when the lid is flipped, we can say and do anything. I really mean anything. So no one can reach us, even if they try to convince us, reason with us, etc. No one can reach us when the lid is flipped. So the survival and emotional brain are now functioning, and they do not respond to language, to words. So if you're following, you can lower your hand. I'll continue. So because CRIM focuses on sensations, it can soothe the survival brain so that the thinking brain can eventually come back online. So if we noticed our loved one lid that's been flipped, we may use a reset now skill, a strategy from the reset now to help get the thinking brain back online. So the reset now is really used in emergency, let's say. So when the cortex come back online, sometimes you may get really surprised that, what? I said that? I did that? And sometimes, we're surprised as in, oh my God, I didn't really mean that. But the words can't really express that, that surprise. So we may fall into shame, to guilt, and some other common reactions may come up. So when the lid is flipped, it does not mean that the person is evil or demon or possessed. The person is just in survival mode. Fight and flight is active. And if the person nurture violence in themselves or society, or society, have been feeding us with negative things, or have a difficult upbringing, then the thinking and the action may come out as violent. It's not because, we're bad. It's just or how we were nurtured. So we all have the potential to flip our lid and act in ways that we may not like. But it's important to know that the amygdala is in every human being. It's a part of our biology. It does not mean that we're defective. We are not defective. It does not mean that we're weak. We are not weak. Even after you have done and said what you've done and said, still not defective. Protective, but not defective. And this is something that, it's important for us to know to our bones so we can hold each other with care, and also we can have compassion for ourselves when that happens to us. So with this understanding, again, we can hold ourselves and our family or community with care, because it's not someone doing it on purpose. This is part of our human mechanism that's functioning, that's programmed a certain way and functioning just the way it's programmed. And it doesn't mean that we have to continue this programming. Practicing the skill is actually a way to deprogram. Is there such a word, deprogram? Or unprogram? So is this clear? I hope this is clear. Please, in the comments, if you're watching this replay, please let me know if this lands or if there are any other questions that come up. All right, so we move on to the last skill. It's called resourcing. So resourcing goes very well with tracking. By practicing resourcing, you get to actually see or touch what tracking really is. So what is resourcing? What is resourcing? So resourcing is a strength building skill using a resource. We'll get into that now. So what is a resource? So a resource is a person, a place, a thing, a memory, or part of yourself. Anything that makes you feel calm, pleasant, peaceful, or resilient. A resource can be real or imagined. For example, a character in your favorite movie could be a resource. And it could be internal or external. So it can include your core values, your beliefs, as well as a positive character trait. It could also be a body strength that supports you, or something that gives you meaning to your life. For example, it could be your honesty or compassion or your generosity. It could be your playfulness or stability. So resources are unique to each person, and a person can have many resources. So we get into the practicing of resourcing soon. So I'll be calling on Stan, and after this slide, I'll call back on Stan. So earlier we talked about sensory language. So developing a sensory language can be interesting as well as challenging. It certainly was for me. When I started out with the community resiliency model, sensory language, that was like a foreign language for me. And I felt as if I was in kindergarten learning sensory language. And then I moved eventually to grade 1, and slowly, over time, it's been 2 years now since I have been practicing these skills. So this slide shows a few sensory words that can use to describe sensations, such as scratchy, or pounding, or vibrating, or tingling, or burning. So sensations can be pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. So one of the best ways to learn how to develop your sensory vocabulary is to identify a personal resource and then noticing what's happening on the inside. And we have a chance to do it now. So Stan, are you ready? Yes. Okay, so I'll bring Stan back on. So welcome back, Stan. So I'll be guiding you with practice. Yeah, there's a little bit of echo. I'm not sure exactly why. I can hear an echo. Do you have two devices on, by chance?
Yep.
Okay. All right, you'll just carry on. So I'll be guiding you in this practice. So I invite you now, Stan, to get comfortable. You could be lying down or not. Good enough. It's up to you. And if you fall asleep, it's completely normal and natural.
Okay.
So as you get comfortable, you may close your eyes or and if you're open, you can just soften your gaze. And as you get comfortable, just want to invite you to find out for yourself. And you just bring this to mind. You don't need to say it out. What gives you calm or peace? What gives you strength and or joy in your life? We're identifying your resource. And your resource could be a friend, a place, stuffed animals, or a pet. Or it could be an activity, sports, movie. Your resource could be a place or memory of an experience. It could be real or imaginary. Have you found your resource? Yes. Okay. Would you like to share out what your resource is or not?
I usually take pleasure in as you mentioned, like movies, quiet movies. At I usually like late at night when I'm cooling down. I usually wind down with a movie or better yet with the kids.
Wonderful. So as you bring your resource to mind, I'm inviting you now to just to go back to that place of identifying your resource. And notice what's happening on the inside as you bring your resource to mind.
Calming.
Okay. Just stay with that. Is it showing up somewhere in the body?
I tell, yeah, more. I feel it more like in the chest area.
Okay. Is it pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral?
Pleasant.
Okay. When you stay there, you can close your eyes or keep them open, but you want to go to that area that feels pleasant and you stay there just for a little bit. Take it in, almost like eating ice cream. So I'll now invite you, when you're ready, if you
Hmm.
could share three things about your resource that pleases you. What is it about watching that movie that pleases you?
Well, as I said before, as I said, it helps calm me. One, two, feel a sense of being. I feel awareness around me, and three, I'd say, it gives me in the calming state to give me time to think and project like what my next move would be.
Okay, so wonderful. So we go back into the state of what's happening as you describe these things as um, you know, talk about the things that bring you pleasure about this resource. Just notice what's happening in your body.
Well, I can't really tell if it's a tingle or a tremble, but I have a vibrating effect.
Mm. Some vibrating effect. Whereabouts is it?
It's like I don't know. It's more in my hands.
Okay. And is it pleasant, unpleasant,
No,
neutral?
it's pleasant. It's pleasant.
Okay. You want to stay with that for a little bit?
Okay.
Taking your time just to stay with it.
Feeling a little nervous.
Okay. And while the nervous feeling comes, we're going to go right back to the thing that is pleasant. So you can allow the nervous feeling to be there, but we're going to just redirect to that pleasant sensation that's still there. Is it still there?
Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Just a few more moments. Okay, so as we come to end of the practice of resourcing, I just want you just do a scan of your body, just to take note of anything that has shifted, have changed since we began. Take note of your breath, your heart, your muscle relaxation.
Mhm.
Do you notice any new feelings, new thoughts, or meaning emerging?
Well, well, no, that you mentioned because my eyes were closed. I actually came out. I'm feeling a lot. Well, not as nervous as more, but I'm completely relaxed as is right now. Um, as I said before, I was having the tremors or whatever, the tingling in the hands, but because of the loosening of the muscles, everything has calmed down completely.
Wonderful, wonderful.
I'm
So,
actually in a calming state. I see
mm.
what you mean about the sleep.
Okay, so you're feeling a little bit sleepy.
Right.
Okay, wonderful. That means that you're entering the parasympathetic state in the
I
rest and
see.
digest. So this
Okay.
is good news on your Sunday evening for resting, right?
Definitely.
Wonderful. Good. Thank you so much, Stan, for being our brave volunteer for today's live stream. So we can
Okay.
have a taste of what it is to want to be guided through some practice, because
Hmm.
we can work with each other one on one. If someone is having some distress, we can do a
Right.
guide like that to help them come back down to that calm, rest and digest, and maybe go to sleep.
Yeah, yeah. I see what you mean.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Stan. I really appreciate you.
Okay, no problem.
So, folks, we're coming to an end soon. So, I feel such appreciation for community. You know, the more I lean into communities, the more appreciation I have for what we each bring, our gifts and our talents. Anyways, so to wrap up, I just want to share, you know, what does all of this have to do with your life?
Mhm.
Sorry, Stan, I forgot to take you back into the studio. Yeah, so what does all of this have to do with your life? The information and practice we just did, what does that have to do with your life? It's about cultivating well being in body and mind. It's about quality of life. And it's also about choice. When we learn to discern the difference between sensations of distress and well being, as you can see with Stan, he identified some sensations of well being through those trembling or tingling sensations in his hands. Then he has a choice. He can choose to stay with that, as I guided him to stay with it for a bit. And staying with these sensations a bit helps calm, communicate safety to the nervous system, and calms the nervous system. So we can choose, oh, I am stressed out right now. I'm going to practice some skills to help calm my nervous system, to help calm me down. So when we begin to have choice of what to pay attention to, we have greater freedom without having to turn to substances to feel good. Because we heard Stan says his experience of those sensations were pleasant. And when the brain can take in pleasant sensations, it doesn't have a need to go to another crutch, another thing. So I hope you received something from today's sharing, and I have one or two more. Hold on a second. Yeah, no. So I just have an imagination exercise for you. Just for a moment, I'm going to invite you to imagine someone saying something to you that normally is activating, that normally sends you in the high of the resilient zone. Your habit maybe is to quarrel or to fight. But just imagine that instead of that habit arising to respond in that way, now you start to notice and get curious about anger arising, curious about where is it in the body and what is it, and getting curious and sensing into it. And when the mind is preoccupied with that, that's cultivating freedom. So imagine that that freedom is yours. No one can take that away from you. With diligent practice of rewiring your neural pathways, this is possible. And you don't have to wait 10 years. The practice builds on itself. So you can think of it as a bank account. Each time you practice, you make a deposit. And over time, our freedom becomes bigger. So thank you again for coming along and learning about, stress less and how to cultivate it at the root by learning about the brain. If you'd like to continue, you can visit the iChill app. You can download the iChill app on your phone, and the skills are there. So what we practice today, tracking and resourcing, are both on the iChill app, so you can use it. And then, of course, there are many people out there that teaches about nervous system and trauma. So we have Irene Lyon. She was a great resource for me at one point, and still. Peter Levine, Dr. Gabor Mate, Dan Siegel, I just mentioned. There is a YouTube video he does where he does the hand model. And again, on my YouTube channel, there is a playlist called A Pause in Nature. And the pause in nature is really mini pauses where you can put on, and some of them have different sounds, whether it be the ocean or a river or birds. And it's helped to help calm the system. So you may want to explore that to see if that works for you. And they're free online meditation community. And if you're interested in those community, please. Hi, Ralston, welcome. I see you. And I want to also thank you for joining us and being here with us. Ralston offered a beautiful poem last week. You may see it on part 1. 2 beautiful poems. Yeah, so please do reach out to me by direct message on IG or email. There's email on the About section of the YouTube channel. You can send me an email if you have any questions or anything comes up in your practice. And I have some exciting news. Next week, actually not next week, sorry, get too excited. So in 3 weeks' time, I'll have Sister Peace come on with me. And you get to, and she'll talk about a bit about her life and share some concrete things in terms of stress less, in terms of cultivating peace and well-being in the body, the art of living a happy life. And Sister Peace is a nun in the Plum Village tradition. She's a Dharma teacher, and she's African American. She's from the DC area, and she has been a nun now for 12 years. So she's going to come on and share and with us, reason with us. And if you have questions, and it's almost like, you can have a consultation. If you have questions for a nun in terms of managing, handling stress, please do come and be with us as we reason and as we take questions from whoever would like to, to ask questions. So it will be more informal time next time. So we'll end now with a quote from our beloved late Zen master, Thich Nhat. He still lives inside my heart. So letting go gives us freedom. And freedom is the only condition for happiness. If in our heart we are still clinging to anything, anger, anxiety, or possession, we cannot be free. So I'll read that one more time. Letting go gives us freedom, and freedom is the only condition for happiness. If in our heart we are still clinging to anything, anger, anxiety, or possessions, we cannot be free. So this is our beloved late teacher, Thich Nhat, who wrote in his book, The Heart of the Buddha's Teaching, Transforming Suffering into Peace, Joy, and Liberation. Yes. So dear folks, Ralston, thank you so much for adding those 2 additional resources, the Insight Timer as well as Headspace, another great online meditation resource. Wonderful. So there's a lot out there to support us. The question is, are we ready? Is it our time? Do we want this? Yes, Ralston, thank you. Powerful, beautiful, yes. Very simple Zen master, very deep. So to end, I want to share a story with you. It's a Zen story. So there's this man who was riding on a horse, riding through this village, and the horse is just going high speed, just going through the village. And a passerby watching this horse coming, say, "Hey, hey, hey," to the man on the horse. "Where are you going? Why the rush?" The man looked at the passerby and says, "I don't know, ask the horse." He doesn't know where he's going. The horse knows. So the horses are habit energy. And our habit energy can drag us along. And we're just being dragged along by this habit energy, the horse. So Slow Down Sunday is a time to have a little bit of pause where we can take time to reflect, to get more information about our well-being. It's a time to slow down. And in slowing down, we can cultivate that freedom that Thich Nhat talked about. So thank you so much for your time. I would like to thank Stan for coming. Thank you, Ralston, for being on. I'll maybe invite you again for another poem next time. So be well, everyone, and be well. Thank you, Stan. Bye.